Last time the Atlanta Falcons had a winning record in the NFL was in 2017. That was also the last time that they went to the NFL playoffs. The last time that they won the NFC South Division was in 2016. So to say that the 2025 regular season is a huge season for the Atlanta Falcons, that would be an understatement. They have everything that it takes to possibly win this division. And we got to see that for the first half of last season. You signed Kirk Cousins to that massive contract extension coming out of the offseason. He was coming off that torn Achilles with the Minnesota Vikings before he hurt his arm against the New Orleans Saints. The Falcons had a strong lead on this division. Let's not forget, they swept the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You beat them twice. You split with the Carolina Panthers. You split with the Saints. I'm still going to come on here and we're going to have the same energy that I had 4 to 5 months ago. They should have set down Kirk Cousins when he went down with that arm injury, and they should have went with Micheal Penix Jr. He cost them football games. It was a 4-game span. He had 1 passing touchdown to 9 interceptions. He threw 4 interceptions against the Los Angeles Chargers. They lost that game, and the Chargers offense did not even score a touchdown in that matchup. That's unacceptable. And I understand Raheem Morrissey wants to do right by Kirk Cousins, and the same with the entire organization. They did feel guilty because they brought him in and they drafted a quarterback right after. But the reason why the Atlanta Falcons did that is because they were put through quarterback hell. Since they traded Matt Ryan to the Indianapolis Colts, and let's be honest here, Matt Ryan was definitely on his last leg with the Indianapolis Colts there. You haven't had a franchise quarterback in a very long time. You started games with Taylor Heineke, the same with Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder was terrible. And the same with Marcus Mariota. So this was an organization, they were desperate. You have very good offensive players such as Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts, who we're going to touch on in the next few minutes here. So you need to solve the quarterback problem. So you go with a guy in Kirk Cousins. At the halfway point in the season, you were fine. You were solid. Goes down with that injury, he wasn't the same. You go out there with Micheal Penix Jr. In 3 games, he did look good. 3 passing touchdowns to 3 interceptions. One of those interceptions were not his fault. It came in the Giants game. He throws the football to Kyle Pitts at the goal line. The ball pops out. It goes for an interception. So 3 passing touchdowns to 2 interceptions there. You look at his completion percentage. It was 58%. You want him to be more accurate and make better decisions. But once again, he was a rookie. He didn't get the first team reps. This offseason, he's getting the first team reps with Drake London, with Bijan Robinson, with Darnell Mooney. You were all about Kirk Cousins last year, trying to get him up to speed coming from that torn Achilles injury. Now your energy has shifted from going with this veteran quarterback that can't move around as much, and now you're going with Micheal Penix Jr. He is not known for his speed. He's not known for his athleticism. But if you pay attention to Micheal, he can go out there and he can make some big time plays with his legs behind the line of scrimmage. But traditionally, he's a pocket passer. But he can also go out there and he can kill you with his legs. They're going to run a lot of pistol formation with Micheal. They tried to do that with Kirk Cousins. When they went against the Steelers in week 1, it didn't work out. TJ Watt punched him in the mouth, and the same with Alex Highsmith. He couldn't move around as much. Micheal Penix Jr., play action bootlegs, he can move around. And we got to see that against the Washington Commanders, which was an amazing football game for Micheal. Goes out there toe-to-toe with Jaden Daniels, another rookie quarterback at that time. So this offense should be a top offense in football. And if Micheal Penix Jr., he doesn't get off to a red-hot start, that's the biggest question here. Do you sit him down in favor for Kirk Cousins? Because Kirk Cousins is that veteran. When he's fully healthy, he's not a terrible quarterback. If you take away that contract, and I know that contract right now is abysmal for a backup quarterback, but you look at a fully healthy Kirk Cousins, even though he's not as mobile as he used to be with the then Washington Redskins, he was never a mobile quarterback like a Lamar Jackson, like a Josh Allen or a Michael Vick or even a Patrick Mahomes behind the line of scrimmage, but he had enough wheels to get out the jam every now and then. But you look at Kirk Cousins, he's fully healthy. It's a solid quarterback option to have. But by drafting Micheal Penix Jr., and starting him the way that you did last season, you're giving him the keys to the castle. So even if he is struggling, in my opinion, you keep him out there. You let him go through those woes. Now, if he has a 4-game stint similar to Kirk Cousins, then you may have to pull him. But right now, this team should be 100% all in on Micheal Penix Jr. with these young players around him, because you have done a very good job in terms of drafting the skill position. Bijan Robinson has been one of the best running backs in the NFL, even dating back to his rookie season. You could say they had a disappointing rookie season. Look at who his head coach was. It was Arthur Smith, and he was the main offensive play caller. But as the season progressed, we got to see Bijan Robinson perform better. You look at him last year, his numbers were phenomenal. Bijan Robinson had the third most rushing yards in football, 1,456 rushing yards, 14 rushing touchdowns. He averaged 5 yards a carry. And we're talking about a running back that gets to split carries with Tyler Algier. Imagine if Bijan Robinson got the workload similar to a Saquon or a guy like Christian McCaffrey when he's fully healthy. He can easily give you 2,000 yards from scrimmage. He damn near did that last season because he had 431 receiving yards as well. But you look at Tyler Algier, he's a very good counterpart to have alongside Bijan Robinson. 644 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. He averaged 4.7 yards a carry on 137 carries last season. So you have a very good running back room that you can run this offense through, both of those running backs. That's why the pistol formation should work out in this situation with Coach Robinson, because you have a quarterback that can move around. You have 2 running backs that can come out the backfield. They can catch the football out of the backfield. Now, Bijan, he's more dynamic than Tyler Algier, but you need 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, or even 3rd and 3. You get that football to Tyler Algier. He's an angry runner. And the goal line situations, you need an explosive running back coming out of the backfield. You want to run a toss play. You want to run a stretch play. You go to Bijan Robinson. That's why it was so disheartening last year. When you look at Kirk Cousins, he's struggling, and they're still trying to run the offense to the running backs. Teams just went out there and they just stacked the box over and over again. But for those last 3 games, they didn't do that because Michael Penix Jr. can take the top off the defense and he can work off a play action. But you still run this offense through your running backs. And Michael has a lot of help here. You look at Drake London, a very good wide receiver. It's always the term 50-50 balls going deep down the field. He's not a 50-50 ball wide receiver. It's more so 80-20. And you put the football to where it needs to be, he can be one of the better wide receivers in football week in and week out. He had 100 catches last year for 1,271 receiving yards, 9 receiving touchdowns. That was the 4th most receiving yards in football last year. They fed him very nicely. He's a true number 1. You continue to feed him. Most cornerbacks can guard him in one-on-one situations because of the size that he has. He's 6'4", 215 pounds. And his route running ability has gotten better every single year since he was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons. You look at Darnell Mooney, a very good number 2 wide receiver to have alongside Drake London. He almost had 1,000 receiving yards last year. He had 992, 5 receiving touchdowns. And his role with the Falcons is to be that deep threat and to be that consistent wide receiver underneath. Can do the dirty work for you, can take the top off the defense. Once again, this should be a top offense in football. Right now, he is dealing with a shoulder injury. I'll keep him out of training camp. When I look at Darnell Mooney, it's not like this man's a rookie or he's in his sophomore season. He's 27 years old. Go out there, let him rest up from that shoulder injury. He should be ready to play by week 1. They did sign DJ Chark. He's more so of a one-trick pony. He's going to go out there and just be a deep threat for you. He's not going to be a game-changing wide receiver. He's more so of a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 at this stage of his career. And you have Ray McLeod. Very good number 3 wide receiver. Had 700 receiving yards last year. You have Kadarius Hodge as well. Very good player. So you have a lot of good football players on the perimeter because remember, the Falcons were going out there. They were not selecting quarterbacks high in the first round. They passed on some of those quarterbacks. They were going with guys like Desmond Ridder. They were going with guys like Marcus Mariota. While they were doing that, they were stacking up the skill position. And we've seen this traditionally in football, dating back to the 70s and the 80s when you have a lot of good players on the perimeter. And a very good offensive line is only going to help the quarterback out even more. And that's what the Atlanta Falcons are hoping for here. Now, one player that I haven't talked about just yet is Kyle Pitts. They're putting him at the wide receiving position so far in training camp. He's dealing with an injury right now. It should not hurt them long term. He should be able to play by week 1. This is the problem that I have with Kyle. Rookie season, phenomenal. Had over 1,000 receiving yards. Year 2 was weird. Arthur Smith had his hand in the dirt. He's more so of a blocking tight end. They didn't utilize him correctly for his entire tenure with Arthur Smith. But this is the problem with Kyle. He isn't this top tier tight end. And it's time to really have this conversation here. His rookie season, they did force feed him, but he got to play with a very good quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in Falcons history, and Matt Ryan. He gave him the football as much as possible. When he came out of college, the same way that people are saying that Brock Bowers is this generational tight end, that he had this great rookie season. That was the same way a lot of analysts and a lot of scouts were pushing Kyle Pitts coming out of college. They were saying that he could be that Shannon Sharp type. He could be that Travis Kelce type. He hasn't lived up to that hype. And it's not me saying that he's a bad player. But for where they drafted him in the first round, he wasn't worth that pick. Now, you can motion him out at wide receiver. They've done that before in the past. Now, bad quarterback play has hurt him. And his injuries as well with his PCL. Not too many players are going to go out there and have big-time games and have big-time moments consistently when you have Marcus Mariota as your quarterback, and the same with Taylor Heinicke and the same with Desmond Ridder. But they need to see Kyle Pitts go out there and have that big-time season this year. He doesn't have to go out there and be this huge game changer like Rob Gronkowski or Travis Kelce every single week. But if Drake London's having an off game, and the same with Darnell Mooney, if they need to go out there and they need to get him the football into crucial situations, he also needs to step up. Two things can be true. The Falcons have misused him, and he hasn't made the most of his opportunities. I'm watching the tight end with the Raiders play with one of the worst quarterback rooms in the NFL over the last 5 years. He goes out there his rookie season, he's the best tight end in football. I've seen the same with George Kittle. Terrible quarterback play in the past. He still found a way to go out there and maximize his opportunities. They need to give him the football. Don't force it to him every single week, but he needs to be better. And I want to see Kyle Pitts be that great tight end, because imagine how this lineup will look. You just can't go out there and double cover anyone. You can't double cover Drake London. You can't stack the box against this running back room with Bijan Robinson and the same with Tyler Algier. There'll be a matchup nightmare. So on paper, this is an amazing offense. It does come down to the quarterback position for Kirk Cousins and the same with Micheal, but the skill position, they're set. And I look at this offensive line. It's not a bad offensive line at all. Jake Matthews is still holding things down. He is getting older. He's 33 years old, but he's still a very good left tackle to have. You have Matthew at the left guard position. Very good guard. You did lose Drew Dalman in free agency. He went to the Chicago Bears. Ryan is now holding things down at the center position. When I look at the center position with the Atlanta Falcons here, you have a system that's ran by Coach Robinson. It's more so zone run. You kick out a lot. The athleticism needs to be there. They'll get the football out quick. I'm not worried about him at the center position. It's going to take some time for him to get used to playing it on every single down because Drew was so good at the second level. But I expect for the center position to still be steady long term. Right guard position, you have one of the best right guards in football in Chris Lindstrom. Very good football player. And Caleb at the right tackle position, he's very good as well. And before we get to the defense here, one more drawback with the Falcons, I can see a lot of people come in this right now. I know the injuries that Micheal Penix Jr. has been through at the college level, but he was able to stay fully healthy his last season. He suffered those injuries with Illinois, but you look at him with Washington, was able to stay fully healthy, and he took a beating inside the pocket, especially in that national championship game. And even dating to last season, he took some hits in that 3-game span, but he was able to get up. He was able to stay fully healthy. Regardless of who the starting quarterback is going to be from week 1 to week 17, Atlanta should have a top offense. And they should be top 5 and top 10 in every single category because of the talent that they've drafted over the last few years and because of the quarterbacks that they have. Let's not act like Micheal Penix Jr. is 21, 22 years old. He got to play a lot at the college level with Illinois and the same with Washington. That's why a lot of people were perplexed at the time. They're saying, you're drafting this quarterback. He's not a project guy. And I love that. You didn't go out there, you didn't draft a guy like Anthony Richardson. It's hard to go out there and develop quarterbacks like that. You get a pro-ready quarterback. You let him sit down for a year or two behind a veteran quarterback like Kirk Cousins. He should be ready to go. But when Kirk Cousins went down with that injury, you had to push Micheal out there, and he did look good. Now, defensively, this is where the Atlanta Falcons have struggled over the last 10 to 15 years in the pass rushing situation. Now, I understand that Vic Beasley did have the one very good year. He went out there, he like a franchise pass rusher. That didn't last long term. They've had a revolving door at the edge rushing position, just like the quarterback position. We've seen them bring in players like Bud Dupree, the same with Calais Campbell, because they're trying to solve that need with veterans. But you went out there in the NFL draft and basically you say, you know what? We'll mortgage our future on these picks. You select Jalen Walker in the first round. Jalen Walker is a very good football player coming from Georgia. But he's not an every down pass rusher right now. He's more so of a Swiss Army knife. He's an explosive player. He fits the system with Raheem Morris as a head coach. More on him on the back half of this video. But when you look at Raheem Morris, he loves to have a defense that can go out there and play fast and put a lot of pressure on the opposing quarterback. They couldn't do that last season. And I don't blame all that on Raheem Morris. They couldn't even do that with Arthur Smith. Now, their defense fell off a cliff after week 5 in terms of going out there and getting to the quarterback on a consistent basis and stopping the run. But when you bring in someone like Jalen Walker that can be that pass rusher, he had 6 sacks last year with Georgia, can go out there and can be your leading tackle. He can be a middle linebacker. You can put him on tight ends. Wherever the football is at, he's going to be there. He's a major disruptor. That's who you can build your defense around. And you traded back into the first round, and you did select James Pierce Jr., very good defensive end coming from Tennessee. 7.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. He's the man that you look at and you say, you know what? He can be our franchise pass rusher because that's the only position that he's going to play. When you look at someone like Jalen Walker, he may just have 8.5 sacks one season, but he may have over 100 solo tackles. That's the type of edge that he's going to bring to your defense. So getting both of these players in the first round, it's a steal. I know some analysts, they hate the fact they trade that first round pick. Look at it from this standpoint. Look at their offense. Look at the names I just listed off. You don't have to go out there and draft a quarterback anytime soon. Hopefully, you don't have to draft an offensive lineman anytime soon or even a wide receiver. You spent those picks in the past. Your secondary, you have a lot of good players back there. Your biggest need has been edge rusher. So they double up in the first round. You trade that pick to the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams more than likely would draft a quarterback with that pick. They have 2 first-round picks next year. The Falcons don't have a first-round pick, and that's okay. You have all this young talent. It's time to turn this talent into something. And I love the fact that the general manager, he's putting the pressure on these players, and the same with the head coach. He's doing everything possible to go out there and fill in those needs. Edge rusher this year, quarterback last year. Every single time they have a need, they address that need as soon as possible. But I think their defense will be better. Not only did you bring in 2 players in the first round who I'm huge fans of, you fired Jimmy Lake as your defensive coordinator. I really wanted Raheem Morris to go out there and take over play calling duties, but he never did. Raheem Morris is a former defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. He did a very good job. The reason why I want him to take over play calling duties, this was a team that played a lot of man coverage with Arthur Smith. They played a lot of man coverage up to week 5. After that, they went more so into zone coverage. And whenever you're playing that zone coverage, you have a lot of soft spots in your defense, and they were exposed over and over again. And Jimmy Lake did not do a good job in terms of going out there and scheming up pressure. You fire him, you bring in Coach Brick, who's coming over from the New York Jets. He was on the coaching staff of the Atlanta Falcons many years ago. When I look at him as a defensive coordinator, he's a very good defensive mind. But it comes down to the pressure up front and how he wants to play coverage on the back end. Now, you have a very good cornerback and A.J. Terrell, one-on-one situations. You go back there, you put him in man coverage as much as possible. He's a true number 1. That's why he gave him a massive contract extension a few years back. He's a very good football player. And I'm not saying that he's going to go out there, he's going to be prime Richard Sherman, be prime Darrelle Revis, but he's a very good player. He's been able to give you good production with a terrible pass rush. Imagine what he can do with a better pass rush up front. Because the one thing that we all know, when you have a very good pass rush, it takes a lot of stress off of those defenders on the back end, such as safeties, and the same with those cornerbacks. But A.J. Terrell, very good player. Jesse Bates has been one of the best safeties in football over the last 3 years. With the Cincinnati Bengals, with the Falcons, back-to-back years now with the Falcons, to where he has just been tremendous. 62 solo tackles, 4 forced fumbles, 4 interceptions, 10 pass deflections. He's a very good player. He's not slowing down anytime soon. The Falcons did make a weird move last year. They brought in Justin Simmons. That didn't work out. I like them bringing in Jordan Fuller. But Jordan Fuller should not be the starting safety for the entire season. You drafted Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame with the 96th pick. He had 9 pass deflections this last year, 6 interceptions, 1 pick 6 on the season. I think you have him alongside Jesse Bates. That's a very good safety duo. And you drafted Billy Bowman from Oklahoma. He had 6 interceptions in 2023, 2 interceptions in 2024. So I look at someone like Jordan Fuller against the run, he's solid. But let those young safeties go out there and let them play alongside Jesse Bates. And when it's time to move off of Jesse Bates, you'll have Xavier Watts there, and you'll also have Billy Bowman. So their secondary is locked down. Their secondary was not the reason why they lost football games last season. It was terrible quarterback play, coaching let them down with Raheem Morris, and lack of pass rush. They also went out there and they signed Leonard Floyd, who is a very good player coming over from the San Francisco 49ers. Now, this is the problem that I have with Leonard Floyd. He's not a true number 1 pass rusher. He's not going to go out there and be the guy every single week. He's better off when he can play off of someone. You look at him with the 49ers, he got to play off of Nick Bosa. With the Los Angeles Rams, he got to play off of Aaron Donald. He's not going to be your main go-to guy coming off the edge. But at the same time, he gives you something. He's very good against the run, and he can put pressure on the quarterback. That's what you're looking for. The Atlanta Falcons, they don't need a guy to go out there and give them 15 sacks in a season like a TJ Watt or a Max Crosby. They just need pressure. That's it. Pressure is going to bust the pipes here with this organization and the teams in this division. You look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, put a lot of pressure on Baker Mayfield. Tristan Wirfs is going to miss some time for this upcoming season. He's their starting tackle. He's their best offensive lineman. You look at Bryce Young, the Carolina Panthers. You lost against the Panthers in the last week of the regular season. They ran the football down your throat. You couldn't stop the run, and Bryce Young had all day inside the pocket. I don't care how bad the quarterback is. He made it to the NFL level. If you give them all day, they're going to dissect your defense. We've seen quarterbacks in the past, like Daniel Jones, no offense, and the same with Brian Hoyer. You give them enough time inside the pocket, they will look like prime Tom Brady at times. You have to put pressure on them because your secondary cannot hold up forever, especially with the top end wide receivers in today's game. And I look at the Saints. The Saints right now, they may be the odd team out, but don't sleep on them. They still have some defensive veterans and some offensive veterans as well, and a brand new head coach in Kellen Moore. You look at Rook at the defensive tackle position. They moved off of Grady Jarrett. It was time to move on. He wasn't the same player since he tore his ACL. But this is why you drafted Rook from Clemson a year ago, so he can come in and he can be that starting defensive tackle. He's a very good run stopper at the college level. We'll see if that can carry over to the pros. And you have David Onyemata, who had 3 sacks last year. Solid run stopper, not a superstar, but he fills in a role. The rest of the linebackers here, Caden Ellis is the best linebacker on the team by far. 5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, 85 solo tackles. Having him and Jalen Walker, that's going to be a very fun duo in the interior of your linebacking room. And you have Divine Diablo as well, who's a very good run stopper in his own right, but he's more so of a rotational linebacker. You have Arnold Ebiketie, who can come off the edge and give you certain production. 6 sacks last year. You have a very good depth piece right now with your edge rushers, especially with Arnold. And it all comes down to Raheem Morris. And I know that you guys may disagree with this. Raheem Morris did more harm than good last year. You should have finished out the season. There was no reason why the Atlanta Falcons should have went 8-9 last year. They should have been in the NFL playoffs instead of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because you had to lead in this division. If you would have set down Kirk Cousins and just put in Michael Penix Jr., you win an extra 2 football games, you're set, you're golden. You go out there, you beat the Saints, you sweep them, you sweep the Buccaneers. Now you most definitely control your own destiny. But that didn't happen. And we've seen this happen with Raheem Morris in the past, even with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when he was their head coach. Clock management was an issue. Going out there and meddling in business was an issue here. He's no longer just a defensive coordinator. He's a head coach. He has to take care of everything. And I want to see him redeem himself with the Atlanta Falcons. For the ones that don't know, he's a former interim coach with this organization. That's part of the reason why he got this job, to be the head coach. I want to see it work out for the Atlanta Falcons this year, because you haven't had major postseason success in a very long time. And I look at this division, it's winnable. The Carolina Panthers, can they take that next step with Bryce Young and with their defense that they had problems with last season? The New Orleans Saints, they're starting a rookie quarterback in Tyler Shutt, more than likely. And then you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield. Once again, you swept that team. Raheem Morris and Jimmy Lake had the right idea to go out there with Baker Mayfield and slow him down. And even when that didn't work, Kirk Cousins went out there and he aired them out, not once but twice last year. You have the talent. It's time to go out there and propel them forward. And it comes down to the head coach and the same with the general manager. Everyone's job is on the line, because the expectation with the Atlanta Falcons this season, personally, I do believe that they will win this division. If Michael Penix Jr. can go out there and he can be that franchise quarterback with the offensive pieces that he has around him, and this defense can just take that step forward. They don't have to be a top 5 or top 10 unit. If they can just meet the offense halfway in terms of pressure production, this is going to be a dangerous football team to face moving forward. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Atlanta Falcons, and do you have them winning the NFC South Division this year? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.